When did you decide to fight fire with fire? My therapist asked this question during our weekly session, but I'd been wondering the same thing for months. The whole mess started when my stepfather Quinn moved us to his tiny hometown after marrying my mother. Population 847, one rusty stoplight, and everyone somehow related to the mayor. Quinn owned the only auto shop for 50 miles, making him completely untouchable. He was also a mean drunk who liked using his fist when things didn't go his way. The bruises my mother covered with thick makeup weren't fooling anyone in town, but nobody dared speak up against Quinn's family. Small towns protect their own, she'd whisper whenever I begged her to leave with me. The breaking point hit hard during my junior year. Quinn had been drinking steadily since noon, celebrating some big business deal. When I walked through the front door after school, he was already screaming at my mother about dinner being 20 minutes late. Maybe if you spent less time at that pathetic grocery store job and more time being a proper wife to me. I'd heard this garbage enough times. Maybe if you spent less time planted on your bar stool at Brewster's Tavern, you'd actually remember she works 2 jobs just to afford your beer habit. His face turned bright red, veins bulging. What the hell did you just say to me, boy? My mother grabbed my arm desperately. Dexter, please don't do this. But I was completely finished being silent. I said you're nothing but a drunk and a coward who beats women. Quinn moved faster than I expected for someone so wasted. His backhand sent me sprawling hard across the kitchen table. My mother screamed. Hot blood filled my mouth. You disrespectful little punk, he snarled, standing over me. This is my house, my rules. You'll learn respect. That's exactly when I made my decision. The very next day, I began documenting everything. Photos of my mother's fresh bruises taken with my phone camera, audio recordings of his drunken threats when he thought I was asleep, videos of him stumbling home at 2 a.m., too wasted to locate his house keys. But in a corrupt small town where Quinn's brother Garrett served as sheriff and his cousin Ryland sat as judge, hard evidence was worthless. So I carefully adapted my strategy. Quinn's greatest weakness was his inflated reputation. He constantly bragged to anyone who'd listen about being the finest mechanic in 3 counties. So I started systematically sabotaging his work. Nothing life-threatening, just enough to slowly destroy his credibility. A loose oil filter here, a disconnected wire there. Within 8 weeks, half his loyal customers were taking their business to shops in neighboring towns. When Mrs. Pemberton's supposedly fixed car broke down 3 separate times in 1 week, she marched into the shop furious and demanded every penny back. This has to be deliberate sabotage, Quinn raged that evening, alcohol already heavy on his breath. Someone's intentionally ruining my reputation and my work. He stared directly at me with pure suspicion, but couldn't prove a single thing. The final devastating strike came when I mailed all my evidence to state police headquarters, completely bypassing Quinn's corrupt local law enforcement family. I included detailed financial records proving Quinn had been overcharging elderly customers and stealing thousands from insurance claims. 3 weeks later, 2 state troopers arrested him for multiple counts of fraud and domestic violence. My mother finally gathered enough courage to file for divorce. How long were you planning this whole thing? She asked me later that night. Since the very first time he laid his hands on you, I answered honestly. Quinn received 18 months in state prison. The entire town predictably shunned us for destroying their golden boy, but we relocated to the city where my mother found stable employment at a legitimate company, offering real health insurance and basic human dignity. Sometimes fighting fire with fire means deliberately watching everything burn down so you can finally build something infinitely better from the ashes.